This month, there's pro wrestling happening all over the globe. You and I are going to rack up some serious frequent flyer miles next. I'm Mike Quackenbush. This is Till We Make It. How about we start our globetrotting somewhere notably warmer than it is here in Philadelphia right now? We'll begin in Phoenix, Arizona. The TNA World Champion Nick Nemeth, the former Dolph Ziggler, headlines for IZW on November 16th when they present Looks That Kill. This is shaping up to be IZW's biggest event of the calendar year. Plus, the vacated women's title will be decided when Alice Blair goes one-on-one against Morgan. If we head northeast, right up and over the Rocky Mountains into Colorado, there we will discover Rocky Mountain Pro. On November 2nd, they're taping more episodes of their show, Charged. And a new episode debuts on their YouTube channel every single week. With more than 400 episodes, it might feel a little daunting. Where do you even begin? I feel you. If you're looking for a place to dive into Rocky Mountain Pro, start with the compilation episode they just published a few weeks ago, recapping the Elevated 8 tournament. They're about to crown a brand new Rocky Mountain Pro champion. It's the perfect place to start. And the link appearing up above will take you directly to that episode so you can dive into RMP. As we start heading east, won't you please leave me a like-a-palooza down below? Thanks for doing that. And after scant 1,400 miles or so, we're going to land at the School of Morton as they open their brand new facility in Newport, Tennessee. This inaugural card is set for November 3rd, and it will assemble the finest from the Tennessee and the North Carolina circuits under one roof, most prominently featuring those who happen to be training under the legendary Ricky Morton himself. At this event, two former partners in the Gen 3 Express look to settle their grudge as Evan Golden takes on this man.
Evan, on November 3rd, you find yourself across the ring from NWA star, one half of the NWA United States Tag Team Champions, White Lightning KC Kazana. And Evan, you've been running that mouth way too much. So it's time to take that East Tennessee Heavyweight Championship back home to the NWA where it so rightfully belongs.
Before anybody starts thinking that pro wrestling only happens in the United States, how about you and I take flight for Central America? Federación Mundial de Lucha Libre is back at their home base, Arena Guatemala, Mexico, which is in Guatemala the city, which is in Guatemala the country. It's a little like New York, New York, or Singapore, Singapore. And they've been making Lucha Libre in Arena Guatemala, Mexico, every single Sunday for the last 36 years in a row. This is where you gotta go to see Hijo de Voltron. No. Si, senor. Arena Gladiadores in El Salvador is celebrating 12 years of delivering fantastic wrestling action, and they're commemorating this with a free event Sunday, November 3rd in the capital city of San Salvador. In all, 6 bouts will make up the card, but in the Lucha Estelar, it's a trios match, pitting Bull Diaz, Death Demon, and Tito La Muerte against one of the best Salvadoran trios active today, Aranya Jr. with Magnus 1 and Magnus 2. And it all takes place inside the Merliot Plaza, which is clean, it is modern, they do have a great food court, but you're gonna wanna look for the giant event space. It's big enough to host basketball games, and they've actually had a few concerts there as well. Look for the Arena Gladiadores ring, and you'll know you're in the right place. Okay, let's cross the Caribbean and catch Dominican wrestling entertainment on November 17th in Santo Domingo with their event that's entitled Impacto Mania. CEO Rico Casanova has signed third-generation superstar Natalia Perez to meet her longtime rival, La Brava Escobar. These two have already fought in Puerto Rico. Then they fought in Colombia. Now, the heated rivalry comes to the Dominican Republic for the very first time. Just a little bit south of there, we'll find the twin islands of Trinidad and Tobago. On November 3rd, New Evolution Wrestling plays Tacarigua on Trinidad with their card Endgame. The Hot Shot Sports Bar is located just minutes from the only international airport on the island of Trinidad, and it is there you can catch some of the most promising up-and-coming talent in the Caribbean right now. I'm talking about Cervantes, fresh off his first tour of Costa Rica, and the high-flying daredevil Action. These two are set for a rematch after Action claimed victory months ago in their first encounter down in San Fernando. I've seen both these guys wrestle firsthand. I can tell you they improve with every single bout. If we head into South America, we have to pay a visit to Lucha Libre con Altura, Bolivia. On November 17th, they're in El Alto with an internationally flavored card that will feature wrestlers from the US, Peru, Ecuador, and beyond, all coming to augment the in-house team of Bolivian stars. One of the US's most innovative and acrobatic artists, Ariel Van Gogh, is set for action. Dragon King is coming in from Costa Rica, and they'll all have to train diligently for the challenge of wrestling in El Alto, because it is the major city on Earth with the highest elevation. It sits 13,100 feet above sea level, which you can imagine makes performing in that ring an exceptionally breathtaking challenge, pun intended. Quilombo Wrestling plays Buenos Aires, Argentina with In Quack We Trust. This guy looks familiar. I am beyond hyped to be wrestling on the South American continent for the first time in my 30-plus year career. And I'm very excited that I get to make my debut there for the top wrestling organization in all of Argentina. I have loved exploring the legacy and evolution of Argentine wrestling, from Titanes en el Ring back in the 70s and 80s, right up to the cutting edge of modern wrestling that's being produced today by Quilombo. It is my distinct honor to be in the main event. I'll be taking the ring there Sunday, November 17th. On the other side of the Atlantic Ocean is where we will find NTWE. They're all the way down in Cadiz, the southernmost part of Spain. And on November 9th, they present the Royal Cup, which features their annual Rumble match. This is the biggest event in Andalusia each and every season. And this year, the winner of that Rumble match is walking out with this beautiful new title belt. Unlimited Wrestling will be in Bonn, Germany on November the 30th. They're presenting Icebreaker 2024 inside the Brücken Forum, which is effectively right on the east bank of the Rhine River. And it also happens to be one street over from the best coffee house in northwestern Germany. Take it from your old pal Mike. There was no European country I wrestled in more back in the 00s than Germany. You want to go to the Myris von Zimmer Cafe because they only serve their apple pancakes during the autumn months. So now is the time, people. And you gotta go early. The cafe closes by mid-afternoon. So pancake up and then queue up for a terrific night of action with unlimited wrestling. How about you and I hop on the Deutsche Bahn so we can catch Romanian Pro Wrestling on November 23rd at the Cluj Innovation Park. They present WrestleFest 4, and at WrestleFest 4, we can see Tom LaRuff, one of the biggest stars of French pro wrestling the last 15 years. Maybe now that I'm thinking about it, that might be more like 20 years. Plus, they've got former WWE star Rene Dupree on the card. Fun fact number 1, Cluj Innovation Park is located in that region of Romania known as Transylvania. Fun fact number 2, and no offense to WrestleFest 4, but WrestleFest 91 is my favorite arcade game of all time. Sorry, quarter-gobbling X-Men cabinet from Konami. If we head about 2,000 miles southeast, we'll find ourselves in the United Arab Emirates. And that's where WrestleFest DXB is going to bookend a week-long celebration of Mexican culture in Dubai with 2 cards of Lucha Libre Fest, November 2nd and November 9th. And once they're all done, the DXB crew is packing up to head east So are you and I. That's because the 8th anniversary of GrappleMax is the very next weekend on November 16th, and some of the stars of WrestleFest DXB are coming for the celebration. It's all going to be capped off with the crowning of the first ever GrappleMax Tag Team Champions, as the dynamic duo of Aussie look to beat back the treacherous twosome of Broken Bad for the belts. The aptly named Pro Wrestling Festival goes down in Jerome, and admission is absolutely free. But that's not all that's going on in Singapore in the month of November, not by a long shot. SPW, Singapore Pro Wrestling, delivers crowning glory on November 8th. They're going to be inside the Fu Chao building, and tickets are going fast, in part because they've got guest stars coming from Dragon Gate and Tokyo Joshi Pro in Japan. The main event bout will see the Butcher Man challenge for the Southeast Asia title held by The Statement, Andrew Tang. And if the Butcher Man is successful, he'll become the first Triple Crown champion in Singapore wrestling history. My very favorite Japanese wrestling organization, Michinoku Pro, has a really busy November on tap. Their event in Kobe on the 4th is headlined by what appears to be a bit of a mismatch, when Taro Nohashi takes on Minoru Suzuki. And I am pulling for Nohashi in this match. He's had a really rough year. Back in the summer, they were letting fans stand on his back and take photos. And then, just a couple weeks ago, he was the bottom layer of this very beefy sandwich. Beyond which, I am very intrigued by a trios match in the mid-card, where the Great Sasuke is teaming with Super Delphin and Ultimo Dragon for trios action. And I am 99.9% sure this team-up has never happened before. As someone with a deep-rooted love of the pioneering junior heavyweights of the 1990s, seeing 3 of the big 5 together on one team has me laser focused on that match. All we're missing is Jushin Thunder Liger. And I'm sorry, El Samurai, but the 5th guy on that list is the late, great Hayabusa. Now, we've got to travel just 6,815 miles. Let's leave the eastern hemisphere of the globe behind for the western hemisphere and the great white north of Canada. As Pro Wrestling Unleashed is closing out their year on November 17th with an event at the Propeller Arcade in Halifax, Nova Scotia. On top, the defending champion, Hollywood Cole, looks to shut down the challenge of Chip Chambers and end his best year in the mat wars with that title belt wrapped firmly around his waist. Hollywood Cole is one of the 2 brightest prospects in the Maritimes right now, and he's wrapping up a banner year. He won the UCW Atlantic Canadian title a full 12 months ago, and then went on to win both the Maritime Cup tournament and the Pro Wrestling Unleashed Championship back in May. He's one you've got to keep an eye on. In fact, you can keep both your eyes on him right now.
Chip Chambers, you, sir, are the reason I fell in love with professional wrestling. As much as I respect you, I will not hesitate to pull the trigger, because the PWU fans deserve a champion who's willing to go all in, and his name is Hollywood Cole.
Is there a pro wrestling event even nearer to you than the ones that I mentioned? Maybe it's one you are performing on? Tell me about it right now, down below in the comments. And if exploring pro wrestling events from around the planet excites your brain, well, click on the video appearing on screen right now so you can jump into my playlist of the Pro Wrestling Near Me series. Also on screen is an orange box which leads you directly to my Patreon. There's also a link which will do that. You'll find it down below in the descriptus.